Hi folks, thank you for joining us for this 30-minute demo on storytelling with Adobe Express. So we're focusing on the video storytelling side of Adobe Express, and hopefully you've had a bit of a chance to play with the other parts of Adobe Express, like the desktop publishing side and the web page publishing side, but we won't really be touching those parts today. We've done other demos with those in the past, and I'm going to give you a link to lots of resources that relate to those other parts of Adobe Express as well. For those of you who don't know, Adobe Express became available last December. So it's almost a year old, not quite there, and it's free for all K-12 schools around the globe. And it includes Premiere Rush, which is a much more sophisticated video editing storytelling tool, as well as Photoshop Express. So there's a whole bundle of tools there to play with and enjoy as you're working in all sorts of different curriculum areas. I'm going to play a quick video that gives you an explanation of how Adobe tools are used in education, and then we'll get started into the topic for today.
Adobe is the global leader when it comes to digital creativity software. Adobe applications are used at the highest levels of the multimedia and communications industries, as well as in primary schools, secondary schools, and universities all over the globe to enhance digital literacy, communication, and creativity. Adobe creativity software is now divided into two special homes: Adobe Express and the Creative Cloud. Formerly known as Adobe Spark, Adobe Express is a set of very simple to use creativity tools that can be used by anyone in any curriculum area and level to build powerful graphics, video stories, and web pages. Adobe Express for Education also includes the powerful Adobe Premiere Rush video editing application, as well as Photoshop Express, and is totally free of charge for K-12 schools around the world. The Adobe Creative Cloud is the home of Adobe's well-known industry standard applications such as Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere Pro, XD, and a total of about 50 desktop, mobile, and web-based applications and resources. Other apps that are part of the Adobe Creative Cloud include Acrobat DC for creating, managing, and editing PDF documents and creating a paperless experience, Character Animator for real-time animation, Fresco, the ultimate drawing tool for the iPad and Surface Pro, Lightroom for outstanding photo editing, Aero for creating augmented reality experiences, After Effects for serious video effects and composites, and Audition for multi-track audio editing and podcasting. Get to know these applications through the Adobe Education Exchange, edx.adobe.com, which now has over 1 million members across the globe with a wide variety of free teaching resources and self-paced, on-demand professional development courses for educators. The Adobe Education Exchange is also the gateway to the Adobe Creative Educator program. This is a multi-level badging program designed for any educator in any curriculum area. You don't have to be an Adobe expert to be an Adobe Creative Educator. Scan this QR code or look up adobe.ly/edu events to find out more about coming events that Adobe is running for teachers, and use this QR code or look up adobe.ly/contact-edu-APAC to get in touch with the Adobe Education team or subscribe to their monthly newsletter. Please let your colleagues know about what is possible with Adobe's amazing tools to enhance digital literacy, communication, and creativity in the teaching and learning process.
All right, let's get cracking. A simple way to access Adobe Express is to go to express.adobe.com. So open up another window and have a play if you like, but remember, this is not a workshop, so I'm not going to be stopping for you. Not like our 1.5 hour webinars where are very much workshop based. I'm just going to demo most of this. So let me demo the process of getting into Adobe Express. There are various other ways you can go in through your Creative Cloud desktop app or creativecloud.adobe.com, whichever way you normally get access to your Adobe tools. But I'm just going to jump straight into Adobe Express. So express.adobe.com is what I've typed, and I'm going to log in with my school account. And it is important to make sure that when you're in an education institution, that you encourage your students and your colleagues to always log in with their school account. Because if they log in with Google, Facebook, Apple, or an Adobe ID, their personal information is going to Google, Facebook, Apple, and Adobe. And that's what we want to avoid. So if you can make sure your schools are setting up your students and your teachers through what's called the Adobe Admin Console, then they can log in with their school accounts and everything stays, all the personal information stays within the school network. I'm just logging in now with my school or company account. And because I'm an Adobe employee, I do have 2 levels of authentication. In fact, last week I was working in a school in Sydney, I think it was, and they also had a 2nd level of authentication, which is the first time I've seen that in a school, so I was quite impressed. So I'm just jumping in my 2nd layer of authentication now and verifying that it is me that is doing this, and that is all happening. And any second now we'll be into Adobe Express, ready to start to be creative. Those of you who've used Adobe Express before, you'll know there's so many amazing things that you can produce, incredible social media type posts. Of course, the social media side of it doesn't exist within the school K-12 version of Adobe Express, but in the more open version it does. So, but the posters and the logos and the flyers and the collages and the book covers and the album covers and the resumes and invitations and menus, they all do. All the templates for those areas do exist in the K-12 area. And they're just beautiful things that you can create, most of which are desktop publishing related artifacts that you can build. Great quick actions you can do as well. Have a explore when you've got some spare time at all the incredible quick actions you can do within Adobe Express, including things like removing the background of an image. Instead of using Photoshop, use Adobe Express. It's so much quicker. Jump up to the top left-hand corner and you can click the plus symbol and you can see how you can get started with the graphic, but we're focusing on the video story side. So we're going right down to where it says video, bypassing even the web page side into the video side. So as I click on video now, I'm going to get this, every great story starts somewhere. Tell us about your idea or title that you can always change it later. It's a little bit gimmicky. It has nothing to do with the actual video doing this, but it's just a way of getting your mind sorted. So I'm going to start creating a story about creativity, and that means I'm starting, I'll spell it right, creativity. I'll say creativity in education, which is going to be the theme of my story. It makes no difference. Sometimes I just skip that. Another thing I generally skip too are these templates. They're fantastic. They're wonderful. And if you're creating a story on a particular genre, like how to follow a hero's journey or how to tell what's happened or promote an idea or do a show and tell type moment, we provide a scaffold and a template in a sense on how to tell a story and going the step-by-step guide to get the story, the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, and the end of the story created, and all that falls out for you. But for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to go to this section here called Start from Scratch, where we bypass the template and we're just going into a blank canvas, and where we're going to be doing our story without the template. Now, it takes a little while to load the canvas because I'm relying on Wi-Fi. If you're using the iPad version of this, which is called and still called Spark Video, Adobe Spark Video, there's none of this waiting. It's instantly part of the app. So basically that little plus symbol down the bottom left-hand corner, that's where you can add your different pages. And we'll be doing that again in a minute. So I've added 3 pages to start my video story, or 3 sections to the story. And I'm just jumping, make sure I'm in my first section. And my first voiceover is going to be this phrase here. It says, building our students' creative capacities is one of the most important things we can do as educators. So I'm going to literally say that by clicking this microphone. When you click and hold it down, I recommend you hold it down for about a second, do your quick little voiceover, keep holding it down, and then let go, and you'll get a result like this. Building our students' creative capacities is one of the most important things we can do as educators. And hopefully that's worked. If I click on the play button here on the left-hand side, we should get a preview of that. Building our students' creative capacities is one of the most important things we can do as educators. And you hear the music in the background. Just give me a thumbs up if that worked. You could hear the voiceover and the music. Let's make sure that all the audio is working for me. Yep, we got a thumbs up. Terrific. So we've got our voiceover, we've got our music. The music wasn't that great. It was okay and I could use it. But if I go up to the top right-hand corner where it says music, I've got a whole range of royalty-free soundtracks that I could work with. It's always good to click the little play button next to the soundtrack to get a preview of what it sounds like before you then press the actual name of the song, because that will then load the song. And it takes a little while to load the song, so it's best to preview first. We've got happy music, we've got playful music, we've got relaxed music. You can even go and bring in your own soundtrack. But of course, if you do bring your own soundtrack by clicking the Add My Music button, you've got to be very careful of copyright. If you didn't create the music yourself, or if you're not sure if it's royalty-free music, avoid it. Encourage your students not to use commercial music at all when they're doing a project that they're going to publish. But if they're using GarageBand, wow, that's brilliant. I mean, they create their own music and then they can add it by clicking Add My Music. That's fine. I'm just going to quickly choose the Whistle Away option because it seems to be quite a nice one for this particular project. And that'll change the soundtrack. See, it takes a little while to load. Once it's loaded, the little play button will turn white. Building our students' creative capacities is one of the most important things we can do as educators. Okay, so I've got a voiceover, I've got music. Now, if I hit this plus symbol right in the middle of our stage, I get the option of adding video content, titles, photos, or icons. Icons or shapes, as they're sometimes called in Adobe Express as well. I'm going to choose a photo in this case, and I can go to Adobe Stock and start loading in any photo that relates to whatever the topic is. But I've got a photo that I've taken that I actually want, a photo that I took at a school in Sydney last week, which is some kids being really creative with Adobe Express. I'm just going to quickly find that photo. And as I'm clicking on it, it should start loading onto the page, which it's now doing. And once that's loaded, I'm going to also add a title and then bring the title in on top of that particular photo or superimpose it over the top of the photo. See if I can do that while it's spinning. It looks like that photo is taking a little while to load. I think my bandwidth is a little bit of an issue at the moment, so things are running a little bit slower than they normally would. But, you know, that's an experience that we have in schools as well. So we just have to be patient and usually it all just works out. So that's now loaded. I'm going to click on the plus symbol and get a text for title and just type in the word creativity. Once I've typed it in, I can move it around the screen. So I'm thinking moving it down to the bottom left-hand corner is okay. A lot of people ask me at this point, how do we change the font if we're not happy with the font that's there? Well, you can. You've got a limited ability to do it. This is not like Premiere Rush, where you've got almost unlimited abilities to be able to do all those sorts of things. And of course, the ultimate video solution is Adobe Premiere Pro, which is what the professionals use. But when I say that, I know grade 5 students who are using Premiere Pro as well for their YouTube channels. So it's not saying that you need to use Pro as a professional. You can use it at all sorts of levels. And it's great that we've got the tools that any student can use for their own creativity. So to make a change to that font, what we can do is jump up to the top right-hand corner and hit the theme button, because this will be a change to the font throughout the whole story. And if you've got the full version, which most of you will have through your school, you can create your own themes. But there's these generic themes that appear that everyone's got access to. So I'm just going to choose a generic theme for the moment because they're all quite good, actually. I'll choose an orange background. Not that you'll see that because I've got the picture covering the background. But this generic theme has a little animation to it as well. So now when I hit the play button, building our students' creative capacities is one of the most important things we can do as educators. Okay, so I've got that happening. And now what I can do is go, oh, look what's happened here. I've accidentally, and this often happens too, because I created my slides in advance when I was slightly offline, That's now gone into my third slide, so that's not a problem. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to drag it to my first slide. Just by clicking and dragging, we've now got it at the start of the story. Now I can go to my second slide and I'm going to do another voiceover now. Being creative is important in every curriculum area. And I'm just thinking now what I might do is go to photo again, but this time instead of uploading a photo, I might search Adobe Stock for creativity to see what comes up. Adobe Stock is literally millions of royalty-free images, and you'll find that a lot of them have got little black crowns, and that means you have access to them because whichever department you're working for has provided a license for them. If it's a gold crown, you don't have access, so avoid the gold crowns. If it is no crown at all, like this one, I might choose that one just for the fun of it. That's fine as well because it's totally royalty free. You didn't need to pay for a license at all. And then I can do the same. I can click the plus symbol, add another title if I want to, but you're getting the idea of how that works. Now, before we go any further, what I'm thinking I might do is go and create a little video animation now, or a video infographic with another version of another browser anyway, so I don't muck up what I've just been doing. So I'm just going to go into Adobe Express again, but this time in Firefox. I was working in Chrome initially, and just quickly sign in to browser. And I pre-created this as an infographic on the importance of creativity as one of the many skills that you need to help you thrive in the future. As I click the remix this design, all I need to do now with Adobe Express is just throw the word creativity into the middle of this infographic and then animate it, then export it as an actual video file. And then I'll have some video content that I can bring into the Adobe Express video story. So by doing this, I'm showing you some different aspects of Adobe Express. So to add in the word creativity into the middle of this infographic, I'm just going to go to the left-hand side and click the text tool and add some text. As I click add text, I'm just typing the word creativity. And I'll just close this panel and close this panel. We can see it's now on the stage. I'll move it into here, maybe angle it slightly. And that is pretty good. I don't need to do any more with that. I'm pretty happy with that. What I want to do now is, now that I clicked away from it, I can click this animation button at the top right-hand corner and then choose a quick little animation option, maybe the typewriter effect. And let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. So now when I go to download up here in the top right-hand corner, I have the option of downloading it as a video file. I could also download it as a still image, but in this case, I actually want a video file. It takes a few seconds to download. So while that is downloading, I'm just going to jump back to Chrome so we can see my original video story that I'm working with. And what I'm going to do now is go and create another slide, although I've created it previously. So I'm going into slide 3 and just checking that that video has now fully downloaded. It's just about done. I think it's now done. So if I go to the video option in my slide, in my middle of my stage, and then in this case go to my downloads folder, and there's my MP4 infographic about to appear for me. Whenever you bring a video into Adobe Express, you can decide how much of that video you want to bring into your story. These little bubbles are like an in point handle and an out point handle. In this case, the video only goes for 4 seconds, so I'm very happy to have the whole thing in. So I'm going to click the save button now, and so that whole 4-second video infographic is going to make its way into my story, and then I'll just finish off with a quick voiceover, and the voiceover will be something like this. Creativity is considered one of the top skills to help people thrive in the workplace in all aspects of life. So now that I've got 3 slides and I've got 3 different voiceovers, I've got a mixture of still images and video, I'm just going to hit this play button down the bottom left-hand corner to play everything so far. Building our students' creative capacities is one of the most important things we can do as educators. Being creative is important in every curriculum area. Creativity is considered one of the top skills to help people thrive in the workplace in all aspects of life. There we go. It's even brought in some credits to the Creative Commons image that I used on the second slide automatically. Now, if I wanted to adjust those credits, I can do that later. All I need to do at this point, though, is to start either sharing this video or downloading it. If I click the download button, it'll start downloading as an MP4 video file. If I click the share button, I'll be able to send it straight to my Google Drive. If I go publish, I can go into my Microsoft Teams account. I can actually go and invite other people to collaborate with me so they can contribute to the same video in a small group situation. At this stage, we can't do it in real time. We can't all be working on it at the same time. That's something we're working on, but you can at different times. As long as you're logged in at different times, you can all contribute to the same story. The other people can't publish it though, only you can publish it because it's your story. And so if I hit publish now, I can give it a new title, pick a category. I'd probably avoid picking categories because that's a way of listing it and making it able to be searched for. So we want to try and keep this as unlisted as humanly possible. So avoid avoid picking a category, avoid turning on your author attribution. And when you click create link, it'll start to generate a hyperlink for you. It'll then also encourage you to go to Microsoft Teams or to Google Drive or to your email, whichever system you use to share your work. And because we're just about out of time, I'm just going to let that happen in the background while it's creating the online version of the video and jump into some more resources for you. This link here, adobe.ly/express-APAC, is a set of tutorials that I've been building since December when Adobe Express came out. So if you want to go in with a bit more detail on all the things that relate to Adobe Express, that's like a one-stop shop for you. Adobe.ly/express-APAC. We've got a summit coming up on the 28th of September. And I encourage you all, if you haven't already registered, adobe.ly/apac-edu-summit22. It's a school holiday period for those of you who are K-12 teachers in Australia. And we've already got well over 200 teachers who have registered. I've got 30 Adobe education leaders coming to Sydney to present from the Sydney office out to hopefully about 1,000 teachers on that particular day. It's going to be a fantastic event. Really looking forward to having lots of people involved. If you want to get involved in any of our other events, adobe.ly/edu events is where we publish all of the events that we have coming up, and we're going to have a new series of these 30-minute webinars we're planning into next year as well. So we'll be advertising all of those through that link. And finally, I won't play all of this because we're just about into our 30-minute time, but this is a set of resources that Rob the Robot's going to share with you. And Rob the Robot was made with Adobe Character Animator and Premiere Pro.
Hi there, it's Rob the Robot here from the Adobe Education team. Thank you for being involved with this Adobe in Education event. On behalf of the team, I would like to share some follow-up resources that will not only benefit you, but also your colleagues and wider education networks. Use this QR code or link to find out more about the Adobe Creative Educator Program. This is a badging program that involves multiple levels. To obtain the Level 1 badge, you need to do the Creativity for All course on the Adobe Education Exchange. The focus of this course is creativity in education rather than Adobe. You don't need to be an Adobe expert or even a regular Adobe user to get your Level 1 badge. Inject Creativity Live is a live and on-demand show on the Adobe for Education YouTube channel. It is recorded every second Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Time during the school terms. Each show features a practical demo from a teacher who is an Adobe education leader. The demo is of a practical Adobe application and how that teacher is using it in the classroom. Each show also features a thought piece from a leading education thought leader. The show also features me.
All right, I'll just pause there and just finish off by saying thank you to everyone who has joined us live. Hang on for a few minutes because I've got a certificate for you, or a way of you getting a certificate. Those of you who are watching the recording of this, make sure you do join us for our next session, which will be happening.
Hi there.
It'll be happening on the 8th of September. So later this week, I've got an hour-and-a-half workshop on Adobe XD. And on the 12th of September, we've got a 30-minute one on infographics with Adobe Express. On the 14th of September, we've got our next recording of Inject Creativity live at 5 p.m. on Wednesday the 14th. That's the next set of activities. So those who are watching the recording, I'm going to stop the recording now. Those who are with us live, please hang on for a couple of minutes. I'm happy to answer any of your questions, but look forward to seeing you again in the very near future.